Jedi are being murdered.
I didn't do it! Please believe me!
I says something. Oh.
Star Wars: The Acolyte, 2-episode premiere June 4th.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my The Acolyte Episode 1 review/reaction video. I just finished watching the first episode, and this is my initial thoughts, opinions, and overall initial reaction here. Of course, we're gonna hop right on into it. Before we do, though, however, grab the subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns, everything in between here on the channel. So if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and grab that subscribe button today. I also want to clarify clearly here from the get-go, I will be discussing spoilers, of course, through in this video. But before we do discuss some spoilers, just my non-spoiler reaction to it overall is whatever you weren't or are expecting, whatever you are expecting of the Acolyte to be, expect the opposite. And well, yeah, as I had a whole nother video talking about that already here on the channel, a lot of people that have been kind of just prematurely hating on the Acolyte, disliking it before the show was even out, have gotten the chance to watch that first episode at the very least, maybe even the second episode, as that there is also out. I'll have a whole nother reaction video / breakdown video on that there as well here on the channel. Stay tuned for that by hitting that subscribe button. A lot of those people have watched that first episode, have seen how cool the Acolyte actually is, how much action is going on, the characters, the plot, the mystery, everything about this show thus far has them all very much so locked in, and have straight up said, like, yeah, I was wrong. And honestly, it's been a very cool and just a good feeling overall, because the Acolyte definitely does deserve that kind of praise for what this show is offering for a galaxy far, far away. I've also mentioned it plenty of times in and out of other videos here on the channel into the regards of the Acolyte, of that this is why the Acolyte is so special, why it's so important, and what makes it so unique compared to every other, not just Disney Plus Star Wars project, but every other Star Wars project period that we have gotten in the era of Disney. I think the only other project that comes close to the Acolyte has to be The Mandalorian, and as I normally would go about mentioning, is that because when we got The Mandalorian back in 2019, it was something entirely new. The first new live-action Star Wars show, for one, hitting Disney Plus, a new streaming service, but it's dealing with all new characters, at least for that first season, that we've never seen before, or really have heard of before, and all new locations, a new era of a galaxy far, far away, a new corner of the timeline that we just haven't ever really explored before. And of course, since then, The Mandalorian kind of began to grow out of that. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, introducing and bringing in other characters that we know and love, like Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett. I'm not saying that it loses that charm, but it loses its ability to be a little bit more abstract or just more unique in comparison, I think, to other Star Wars projects where you are dealing with other characters that we've known and have seen before, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've known Obi-Wan throughout the prequels, throughout the original trilogy, and/or we've seen his character in Rogue One. Ahsoka, I mean, she's in all of Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated show and all of Star Wars Rebels, pretty much. So when you take a show like The Acolyte and you're able to bring us new characters, new locations, a new story overall, a new era, something that's just entirely untouched, it's absolutely incredible. And just the opening 5 minutes, let alone, was incredible. I had to make a post about that already on our socials. You can follow all of those linked in the description, Instagram, Twitter. Before we get any more further into it, though, however, I also want to clarify that this is my reaction video, not my breakdown video. I'll have another separate video here on the channel discussing more details of the actual episode itself, and this is just my raw reaction and initial thoughts. And usually, as I would give praise to, and I have to still, yeah, of course, give praise to the Acolyte, of course, as well. It's no different, and if for anything, it has a much more difficult kind of job to do, I think, when it does do this, is those first two episodes, at the very least, the first episode, are simply there to establish the importance of the show. What's the show going to be about? What characters are we dealing with, essentially? And I say that the Acolyte has a more difficult job and task in doing that, because you are dealing with all new characters, an all new plot here, an all new timeline, essentially, and taking place 100 years before the events of the Skywalker saga, before the events of the Phantom Menace. They make a whole like little epilogue kind of thing at the beginning of the episode, discussing and talking about that in the like short little text. I love it when Star Wars does that, dude. It's absolutely, I don't know, I just love it. I think they put a cool emphasis on how this takes place before the rise of the Empire, so even into that contrast, I think that it makes it a better blend into with what the prequels also are, and like they kind of have reference to the prequels, something that a lot of fans I know out there want to happen in these in the Acolyte show, is to give us some type of Yoda name drop or mention. If you do the math, he is only about 700 years old during this time period right here, so he's walking around and doing Yoda things. He's a Jedi Master, of course, during this time period. I'm not saying that having Yoda, though, fully engulfed into this show would be necessarily a bad thing. It wouldn't do, as let's call it, the Mandalorian effect, where you start to introduce other characters that we've known before. Yoda's like the only character that's able to actually do this, maybe besides Chewbacca, but even then, I don't even know about Chewbacca and like the math of that. I definitely do think he is around during this time period, but the relevance to what Chewbacca might have to offer to High Republic Jedi, I don't know if there's necessarily a larger correlation out there, but seeing of course that Yoda is probably a Jedi Master during this time period, there's definitely some type of correlation for them to have like a scene where they're walking through the temple on Coruscant and there's just Yoda in the background or something like that. Essentially, I'm not saying that they have to bring Yoda in as like a main character, but it would definitely be cool, and it is something that Leslye Headland, the writer and director of the Acolyte, overall showrunner, has kind of teased at and has mentioned before. Honestly, a round of applause to Leslye Headland. She is a phenomenal director and writer here for these first couple of episodes of the Acolyte. She definitely has an idea of what's happening here, where this story is going, and that's all you can really ask for when it comes to a writer or a director of any given project, Star Wars or not. And also, one last thing here is that a lot of other teases and kind of teases and mentions here about the show from the cast and crew members here about the Acolyte is the fact of that the stakes are high. And yeah, the stakes are definitely high. Having Master Endara be killed off in the first 5 minutes of episode 1 was something that I was definitely just not expecting whatsoever. I definitely know that she is going to appear in flashback sequences, as that's seen in the trailer, but I honestly was not anticipating for them to just straight up kill her off like that in the first 5 minutes. Some people are going to turn around and complain, oh, it's from a knife wound. Those are the same people that are going to turn around and complain that somebody's not dead from like a lightsaber wound. It goes both ways. They're going to complain either way, essentially. I think that it was honestly a cool fight scene overall. I was pretty blown away by that. Anyway, guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions, overall initial thoughts and reactions in the comments down below. As I had also mentioned, I'll have a full-on breakdown / review video here on the channel shortly about both episodes 1 and 2, so stay on the lookout for that by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we are discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.